I can't believe I actually have to say this, but for the first time in a long time, the press was right. I am here to announce that I am officially endorsing Ted Cruz to become the first Hispanic president of the United States.
Breaking tonight, Ted Cruz getting a historic endorsement from one of the most iconic conservative voices in the country. Glenn Beck taking to the campaign trail in Iowa Saturday, throwing his support behind a presidential candidate for the first time in nearly 40 years of broadcasting. And with most experts suggesting the GOP race may be down to just two candidates in particular in Iowa, Mr. Beck's endorsement of one of those men came with a lengthy and repeated warning about the other.
Mr. Trump is saying over and over again on the road, I will make America great again. I will make America great. That's not true. It's not even possible. Each of us as individuals, living our own dreams, making our own way, charting our own course, that is what makes America great. Anything else is faith in self, and it is empty. It's the human ego, and it is arrogant, and it is dangerous.
Glenn Beck is the founder of The Blaze and a #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Immortal Nicholas. Glenn, it's great to see you. So why now, after 40 years, did you feel compelled to come out and endorse a candidate?
A couple of reasons, Megan. I've never endorsed anybody for any office at all, because half my career nobody cared. The second half, I've never wanted to put my name on somebody. My credibility I've worked hard for, and I'm not going to put my name on some guy and then have him go to Washington and not be that guy. Ted Cruz, I have watched, and I told him, 4 years ago when he went into the Senate, I said, I don't know if I trust you. You say all the good things, but if you go to Washington, I'm going to be your worst nightmare if you start to be a weasel. And I've watched him closely, and he has not. He has done the tough thing. He has been, David against Goliath in his own party, against the other party, in the media. Nobody will stand with this guy, and yet he's never backed down from the fight. He says, I believe it. This is what I said I would do. I'm going to do these things.
But his detractors, including Donald Trump, see that as not necessarily a positive. Trump calls him a nasty guy who can't get along with anyone, calls him a whack job, says he tells lies, and is using his inability to get along with people in Washington as a negative in terms of getting things done.
Here's the part. Donald Trump said this weekend that he is going to, he has to cut deals, and we have to be part of the establishment. I'm quoting him. Yeah, I'm going to have to be part of the establishment to be able to get things done. Well, that's the problem. That's what stopped me with Rand Paul. I love Rand Paul, but when he made a deal with Mitch McConnell, I didn't know if I could trust him. People are tired of deal making, especially when it's not rooted in something. So the second reason I decided to endorse Ted Cruz is, A, I believe him, but the second thing is, I really, truly believe, and I have a very long record, and people made fun of me when I said the caliphate was coming. They said it was absurd and it would never happen. And Megan, I tell you, I feel as strongly about this that there are a lot of great people in the Republican Party that you could vote for, a lot of them, and that I could vote for. Donald Trump is not one of them. And the new guy who comes into office is going to finish the fundamental transformation that was started by Woodrow Wilson and accelerated through Barack Obama. We're headed for real trouble, Islamic trouble, economic trouble, and civil unrest in the next 4 or 5 years. This next president is going to either finish, and we're going to become a nation where the pen and the phone are the way to rule, or we're going to have somebody who has the Constitution in their bones, and they're going to repoint this cornerstone and set it right and give us a new start.
But why do you, obviously Donald Trump is the front runner by a lot. And so conservatives are backing him to some extent. Moderates are backing him to some extent. And the country, the GOP, does not feel the way you do. How did you get to this sort of divide where you're over here and most of these Republicans are over here?
Because I've always been that guy. I mean, you know, Megan, when I was working there, I was always kind of the guy who's out.
But we loved you.
I know, and I've always loved you, but I've always been the guy who is kind of going and marching to my own tune. And I'm, you know, the one thing I do know are progressives. If there's anything I know, it's a progressive. And this is a very dangerous thing. And I warned when I was on Fox, I did several episodes on the fact, and this is why I've only spoken at CPAC one time, and they never invited me back, because I said the progressive cancer started from the Republicans, and it is in your own party. And I tried to warn on Fox. I did a show, the biggest one you could remember is the one where I did with a pendulum. And I said, here's Barack Obama. He's pulled it back so far. It's going to swing the other way. And unless you root yourself in the Constitution, when that things back, you're going to have another guy with a pen and with a phone, and he's going to do bad things.
Why would you believe that about Trump? I mean, what he says is, I am a deal maker, I'm an executive, I'm worth several $billions, and I have a history of proving I can get things done that I win, as he puts it.
But that's not, I mean, that's great for a CEO, but that's not the job of a president. The president first of all, does not create jobs. He doesn't jam things down your throat. The president is not supposed to rule by dictate or edict or executive power. He is supposed to make sure that the government acts and behaves the way it's supposed to. When he raises his hand, I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. When we head into trouble, and trouble is coming, you want a guy who says, look, I mean, let me say this. We have Lindsey Graham on record saying, I don't have a problem with the NSA spying because, you know what, we're at war. We have, I think it was John McCain who said, you know, I love freedom of speech, but, you know, there's times that has to be curbed. You have Barbara Mikulski talking about the Second Amendment, and she said just last week, don't talk to me about this Constitution, let's get this done.
It is irritating at times, isn't it?
You've got to root it in the Constitution.
All right, wait, I want to stop you there because we have much more to discuss with Glenn, as you can hear, including the attacks that have come down against him since this announcement became public, and his thoughts on another endorsement that occurred last week, that of Sarah Palin for Donald Trump. Stay tuned. This endorsement of Ted Cruz and his pointed attacks on Donald Trump have been reverberating for days already, but Mr. Trump has had plenty to say about Senator Cruz and his latest endorsement, responding on the very same day that Glenn Beck hit the campaign trail.
Glenn Beck, he'd call me, would you be on my show? Would you? And it wasn't that I didn't want to do a show. I'm so busy. I wasn't able to do it. I wouldn't do a show. So he got very hostile. Once he got very hostile, I didn't want to deal with it. His show's failing. He's failing. He's always crying. You know, I like cries a little bit, but not that much. I think crying's fine, but, I mean, I see this guy, he's a sad sack, and he cries.
Back with us now, Glenn
None of that
Beck.
is true. Well, the crying part is true, but I called him after months of saying that he was a horrible candidate, and I didn't. Our producer called him once at the end of August, and then at the first week, I think, of September. He said that if I wanted him on, I would have to personally call him, and they wouldn't make an appointment for me. I just had to try to catch him, and I said, I'm not playing that game. So we only offered him one time. We called him twice, only offered him a chance to come on because I thought it was a little unfair to say these things, and all I wanted to ask was, what's your pivot point? You say you were die-hard for abortion, including partial birth abortion, and now you're not. I can understand that. I can understand people. I believe in redemption and changing your mind. I've changed my mind on things. Tell me what your pivot point was.
He has a story about that, about someone he knew who had the baby, and it changed his views on abortion. She grew up to be a terrific kid.
A little bit. It doesn't.
But you're looking for, I mean, obviously he's changed his position on
almost everything.
Many issues. You're saying that to believe it, you would need to see some sort of life transformation, some sort of...
What happened? I mean, look, everybody understands. You know, this is why missionaries don't like to go to rich neighborhoods, because rich people aren't listening. You know, they don't want to, hey, come on in and tell me how I can change my life and start going to church and live in a different lifestyle. My life is sweet. Why would I change it? When people are distressed and they're in trouble, that's when they have true transformations. So If a guy has lived a progressive lifestyle his whole life, he doesn't like guns, he's for abortion, he's for universal health care. Last year, he was saying that we should have universal health care and the government should pay for everything.
You know, but the people know all this, and they don't mind. And it's what's been surprising to so many has been Sarah Palin's endorsement, because she and you used to sound very much the same on these issues. You know, sort of Tea Party-esque, small government, out of your business, completely pro-life, would never endorse somebody who, you know, was wobbly on that or the Second Amendment or any of these issues. And yet she came out full throttle for him last week, full throttle, and may have been helping, because now he's up 11 points in Iowa, according to the latest Fox News poll, over Ted Cruz.
I can't speak for Sarah Palin. I mean, I like Sarah Palin. I disagree with her strongly. I don't know what happened to her. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. I know I haven't changed my position, and it's not personal. It is based on the Constitution, and I'm so vocal about this because I feel the same way I the caliphate. Nobody listened to me on the caliphate. The time to worry about the caliphate was when I was talking about it. Now the caliphate is a reality. The time to deal with a progressive in the Republican Party is right now.
So what do you envision? I mean, if Donald Trump wins this nomination and in fact could win the presidency, what do you envision?
Ask you a question? Let me ask you a question. Megan, have you ever heard anyone talk about his supporters or talk about to say I could go on Fifth Avenue and shoot people and my supporters are not going to move? Does that bother you as a journalist?
That was a new one.
Okay. When he said a month ago, you know, who is it that Putin has shot? They say that he shot all these journalists, you know, and I'd never shoot journalists, even though I hate him.
What he said to Joe Scarborough was, our country's killed a lot of people too.
No, but he actually said from the stage, I'll never kill a journalist. Well, no, I'd never kill a journalist. Now, he says he was joking, and I think he was joking. But do you really think that that's appropriate to joke? I mean, I think this guy is such a narcissist that it spells trouble when you give him this much power. But again, saying these things, I have nothing to gain and everything to lose. This guy blackballs and plays hardball. I get it. I'm a big boy. I can take all of the punches, and look at me. I mean, there's lots of things to make fun of.
So I think that crying is kind of sweet. I liked it in John Boehner. I admire it in you.
That's fine.
I'm the same.
But the thing is this isn't about me. It isn't about Donald Trump. It's about our country and the Constitution. I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's what I've always been for. And this, I believe, is our last opportunity to set things right. When trouble comes, just like in World War II, would you round up Japanese people? I know I wouldn't. But when people are afraid, when they're hungry or we're at war, they'll violate all kinds of principles. Let's not start with a guy who doesn't know the principles.
Glenn, always great to see you.
Good to talk to you.
Glenn Beck, everybody.
Thank you.